Hello, everyone. Hello, dear students. Thank you for joining us today. We're happy to have you at our today's session about applying for scholarships and writing a letter of motivation. Please feel free to watch the presentation of our wonderful speaker, who I will introduce in just a minute. But if you have any questions during the presentation or during our live stream, please feel free to write them down in the chat, and we will be more than happy to answer them during our Q&A session. So we have our wonderful speaker with us today, Dr. Phillip Bailey. Dr. Phillip Bailey, thank you so much for being able to join us today, to have time. We're very grateful for you. Dr. Bailey is Associate Vice President for Global Learning and Engagement at the University of Central Arkansas, a tenured full professor of French. He has served as UCA's Senior International Officer since May 2017. He is author of Proust Self-Reader, Pursuit of Literature as Privileged Communication, and has published numerous articles on foreign language anxiety and teaching empathy through literature. Mr. Bailey holds a bachelor's degree in French and Humanities from St. John University in Collegeville, Minnesota, and master's and Ph.D. in French from University of Virginia. Mr. Bailey, thank you so much for joining us today. Please go ahead. The floor is yours.
All right. I just wanted to say I'm honored to be speaking to prospective students in Ukraine. We have, of course, shared your pain for the last several years with the terrible attacks that are going on. And I do wish that they would come to a close and an end with territorial integrity for Ukraine as soon as possible. Slava Ukraine. So with me today is my colleague, Ms. Jingjing Li. She's our international recruitment specialist, and she'll be available to answer questions in the chat, even if I'm still speaking. So if you want to get a question in, you don't have to wait till the end. The topic of today is writing a scholarship essay, and I'll show you a little bit of an example from our website for a scholarship that we offer, but general principles will be applied today. So my university is in Arkansas, in the middle of Arkansas, as the name implies. Where is Arkansas, you ask? Well, it's not too far from Texas and Louisiana, and in the center of the United States. We're not famous for a lot of things. I guess you could say that former U.S. President Bill Clinton is infamous, and so he's from here. And we also have a connection to a famous basketball player named Michael Jordan. He played with a guy from my university, Scottie Pippen, and they won 6 championships together. So that most people know Michael Jordan, and maybe they don't know that he played with Scottie Pippen, but he was a very good basketball player. So in general, what are the types of scholarships? All right. There are merit-based scholarships where you have to earn them based on your academic credentials and your ability to write a good essay. There are country-based scholarships where if you're from a certain country, people want to encourage you to come to their university. Special needs-based scholarships. And also there are scholarships that really should be seen as discounts off the cost of attendance. So many universities, they charge from $20,000 to $80,000, $100,000 a year. Not most students don't pay that amount, and so the cost of discounting is important to keep in mind, because it's not how much the scholarship is, it's what is your final cost of attendance. All right. So if I have a scholarship that's $30,000, but your cost of attendance is still $40,000, right? Well, is that as affordable as a cost of attendance final one after a $10,000 scholarship of $20,000? All right. So that math is important to do. It's just like when you go shopping, things are always on sale. All right. And that just tells you that maybe you don't have to purchase something right away just because it's on sale. Alrighty. Why do we require a scholarship essay? Okay. Well, in many cases, there's a minimum requirement of a graduate GPA. So if I want to get a scholarship, maybe I should be an A student. Well, the universities will give a GPA minimum, and if you don't meet that minimum, then you're not eligible. So they won't read your scholarship essay. Same thing with SAT or ACT scores that some universities still require, or other criteria. In our case, we use the scholarship essay to choose the winners. Okay. But they also universities also want to choose the students that are going to make the biggest contribution to the programs. And since an educated person should be able to express themselves in writing as well as speaking, the essay is a good example of that ability. So how do we start? How do we get going? Well, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have a sincere interest in the university. If you don't know anything about the university, it'll be hard to convince that university that you're a student who really needs to get a scholarship to come there. So you want to do some research. You'll want to find out about the college or the department that you're going to be studying in, and you'll want to find out what are the requirements for the major, the specialization that you want to study. All this step one is also very good and important preparation for any visa interview you may have. Because if you can't explain at the embassy why you want to study at a given university, they may not approve your visa. So you want to make sure that you've done the research. Okay. So what are requirements for the essay? First thing you got to do is read the application page. Okay. And I'll show you our example near the end of this presentation, but it doesn't do any good in a scholarship essay for you to submit a letter that you wrote for admissions. All right. Some universities require a letter of application before they admit you. And if you try and recycle that essay without editing it, you may not be responding to the prompt. So you have to be careful to write a specific letter for a specific scholarship. What do your readers want to see? Most universities have a committee of 3 or 4 faculty members that are going to review the scholarship essay. And so we want to make sure that when we read your story, it is your story, something that reflects who you are as an authentic human being. And it's not inappropriate to use a bit of humor. It's not the most important thing, even though it's number 2 on my list, but it's not a bad thing to do. We want to see, are you curious about your discipline? Are you curious about getting more knowledge? Have you the capacity to self-assess? Have you ever stumbled in life? Have you ever not done well and then recovered? This ability to self-assess is critical to success in life. So if you haven't been perfect, like no one is, it's okay to mention that in the essay, especially if you overcome an obstacle. All right. Use your own voice. Don't use artificial intelligence. I'll mention that many times. Okay. We don't expect a student to have the same vocabulary as someone with a college degree. So you don't have to have the biggest words, but you do have to know what you think and try to express it as much as you can. In the essay, we're also looking for depth of thinking. We don't want vague words like, I think your university is very interesting. That's not a word that's going to get you any points in the scholarship review process. Again, we want your voice to be yours. Don't use AI. You nowadays, you can use spell check and grammar check, and that's not the same as using AI. Okay. You don't have to be able to type. By all means, take your essay and have it proofed by AI. But don't tell AI to write your essay. It will write an essay just like it writes for the next person. And we will be able to tell that. I've taught French at my university for 25 years. I've graded essays in English all my life. I can tell when a student is not using their own words. And you think you can get away with it, but you won't. So no plagiarism, no copying from the internet or from someone else. So the next step is to keep in mind, to know what you need to keep in mind when you're writing. So I've got a nice little 5C concept here that I want you to think about. You want to have your language and your grammar to be correct. All right. You want to have the tone to fit the formal nature. You don't want to use words that are not formal in a formal scholarship essay. So a word like thing, that's not a word that belongs in a formal essay. Okay. You shouldn't use contractions like isn't and don't, because those are not formal English writing. You want to be concise. And I don't know if you know what the concept of concision is, but it just means to use the fewest amount of words to say what you want to say. Okay? And it's your ability to choose the best words to express your idea are a measure of your intellectual critical thinking skills and the amount that you've read. So concision is important. In many cases, they don't want you to write 5 pages. They want you to write 1 page or 2 pages. And that's because they want you to say what you have to say with the best words and the fewest words. And I'll be honest, most readers of essays are quite lazy. And if you try to give them too many words, you're going to lose their attention. Again, with regard to diction, which is a fancy word for word choice, you want to be clear, okay? Your essay should be clear. Do be creative. That's where the humor comes in. That's where you say something that is not in everyone else's essay. And your essay has to be coherent, meaning it has to hold together as a whole, and it has to be understandable. If the English is weak, okay, so that's not going to help you on any scale, but it certainly will hurt the understanding. All right, other things to keep in mind. Think of this as a creative writing assignment. Show us who you are. Don't tell us that you're very smart. Show us you're smart in your writing. Don't tell us that you're creative. Be creative. Here's a good example. I was overjoyed and felt empowered when I finished my first half marathon. Well, how can you make that a little bit more vivid in the reader's mind? Well, as I rounded the final bend before the finish line, my heart fluttered in excitement. The adrenaline drowned out my burning legs and gasping lungs. I was going to finish my first half marathon. This was almost incomprehensible to me as someone who could barely run a mile just a year ago. All right. You can't write every sentence like that in your essay, but if you choose the spot for that sort of more literary sentence, then you will attract the attention of the reader. And so when you're writing well, you want to make sure that the first and last sentences in your essay grab the attention of the reader. So those have to be written several times, okay? Number 6 is make several edits. You will not be able to write really striking first opening sentences or final sentences the first time, all right? Don't give the university more words than they ask for, okay? And do have friends, family members read your essay, preferably ones whose English is good, so that they can critique what you've said. Ask yourself as you reread your writing, did my opening paragraph capture the attention of the reader? Do you find the statement as a whole to be engaging? Did you find it to be well written? Did it seem positive and upbeat? Did it sound like you? Does it make me come across as an honest and forthright person? Ask others or yourself, did it seem that I answered the questions in the prompt? Can you think of anything relevant that I might have inadvertently omitted? Is there any information within the statement that seems inappropriate? In other words, harsh, aggressive, too sarcastic, trying to be too funny, or threatening. You don't want anything that's out of the tone of the essay. And did the reader gain insight about you after reading your essay? Of course, if you've got sloppy typos or other errors, that just shows that you're lazy and haven't bothered to use Google AI or somebody to correct the grammar. All right, there's no excuse for typos when you have spell check. Do you think the statement has in any way distinguished me from other applicants? Okay. You don't have to be totally unique, because human beings are all part of the same species, so we're not that different. But you do want to think about your life and your academic choices and your goals and try to articulate how they make you stand out. The word distinguished means to separate yourself from the crowd. So what makes you different? Okay. And are you being logical in your statement? All right. After you've done some of this, you start writing. All right. That attention-grabbing first sentence is essential. That first paragraph is really key. It should set up the rest of the essay, and it should be 3 or 4 sentences long at the most, and it should kind of say who you are, why you're unique, and where you're headed. It should end with a thesis statement that sums up who you are as a prospective student and a scholar. In the body of your writing, let's say you've got 2 pages. You got maybe 3 paragraphs now. You've written the first one. You need to choose your examples. And each one of those examples will be described in a paragraph. All right? So 2 to 4 paragraphs. Choose your examples well. It's not good enough to choose an example that everyone else is choosing. You've got to choose your best examples. And that's why being concise and constructing your essay as a whole is important. When you get to the end, you want to make sure that your conclusion doesn't just summarize up what you've already said. All right? And you really don't need to say in conclusion, choose me because I'm really smart and I'll work hard. No, you need to kind of build on what you've been saying and raise the reading moment to a crescendo, just like in music. When you're listening to a symphony, and at the end of it, the music gets louder and it's everyone can tell us the end. Well, we should read your essay at the end and understand that you're concluding. You shouldn't be telling me that you're concluding. And we'll know that you're concluding by your word choice and the fact that your writing's getting stronger. All right. So things to maybe add to your essay. Well, how will this scholarship help you? Okay. If mom and dad have gotten divorced and dad is a skinflint and doesn't want to support you, you don't have to say that, but I've had a lot of students over my years at UCA whose father has not wanted to support them. Mentioning that can help demonstrate your financial need, okay? And it's not harmful to get a little bit personal in an essay like this, especially with Americans, because we kind of tend to do that. How will the work that you're going to do at the university help you to contribute to your community when you go home? And this is the big picture about your degree will help me go home and, work at my mom and dad's business, or work at this non-government organization, or get into politics and help serve my country. That is a good point to make. I mentioned this a little. If you've had a failure, and most kids do, then you should maybe try and articulate why it happened and what you've learned. It's inevitable that people will find challenges in life and struggle. You just have to be able to learn your lessons. And using a failure as an example in your paper is good. It's not bad. All right. No one expects you to be perfect. You should know what your goals are. Like, why do you want to study computer science? Okay. And don't forget to mention why you deserve the scholarship, in case the reader hasn't figured it out yet. Again, think about how you're unique. Think about that time you've been challenged, what you want to study, and a time maybe that you demonstrated leadership. Like were you in a club and the club wanted to do something and you helped organize others. That's real impressive, because we all know that's hard, especially for young people. Or maybe you were given a task and you had to lead others in completing it. That is another example. All right, I did want to give you a practical example. And so guys, I don't know if this will work or not. Will I be able to zip off onto another website? Maybe not. Or should I try to share a screen? Yeah, I think I can share a screen. All right, I just got to pull up the right tab first. Well, let's see. I'm not going to make you go to that website. I'm just going to read to you what I've got on my scholarship page so that we can use one of my scholarships as an example. So I will put this I'll put a link in the chat to our merit scholarship, and you can all look at this individually if you like. Will I put it in there? Well, not so easy. I won't do that. I don't know if you can put a question in the chat, or Jing, or a link to the merit scholarship. But anyway, I'll just read from that particular website. So when you go to the a scholarship page, oh, there it is. How did that happen? I don't know if that's something I did by clicking and it took a long time.
I shared my screen, Dr. Bailey.
Oh, very good. All right. So you can see there are deadlines to respect. In our case, you want to be fully admitted to the university, and you want to then be able to apply by the deadline so that you're eligible. And you can see that we don't give scholarships, the merit scholarship, throughout the whole year, only for students arriving in the fall. And some universities don't accept students in the spring. We do, but it's a lot fewer students. So our main timeline requires you to be admitted and then complete your application by January 31st. You can see the requirements include having been admitted, and then you have to have a 3.25 GPA, and we convert whatever the Ukrainian system is. Is it a 20-point system? Maybe, I don't know. 12, whatever it is, we convert it to our GPA. You don't need a SAT score or ACT. You just need the English proficiency that we require, all right, and the GPA. And then let's look at the essay topic. All right. 250 word maximum, which is about 1 page typed. All right. In English, and it should describe your career goals that you hope to achieve as a result of your studying at UCA. You need a letter of recommendation from someone who knows you well, not the biggest, the most important person in your life, like the mayor or the governor of your state, but rather a teacher who's seen you in class. Okay? Doesn't have to be the director of the school or the principal unless they know you well. Okay? All right. So one of the things I like to do is ask students if they could type in the chat an opening sentence for a scholarship essay that's designed to catch our attention. Talk about your career goals or talk about yourself as a unique individual on the planet. You can stop sharing, Jing, that's fine. Let's see. Yeah, that's fine. So let's see if we're going to get anything in the chat. An opening sentence for an essay, and then we'll discuss whether it's striking, whether it's vivid, whether it's a good start to an essay. I'll give you a couple minutes to think. If you're brave, this is a chance to get some real-time feedback on whether you can write the first sentence of a good scholarship essay.
Not so many brave students with us today in the chat, but please, guys, don't be shy to send your question or your first open sentence in the chat.
Well, you think about writing your sentence, guys. I've got a few slides to share about my university, all right? And then I'll take general questions about the presentation about writing a scholarship essay and also about my university. So I'm just going to skip over that real quick. Since you're a little bit shy today, I'll give you a chance to think about what you want to write and what you want to ask. So the University of Central Arkansas is a typical public regional university in the United States, like many, many other universities. We've got about 10,000 undergrad or 10,000 students, 8,000 undergrad, 1,500 graduate students. We're in a mid-sized town of 60,000 people. You'll see that we have 150 different undergraduate degree programs. 150 in total, 85 undergrad, 50 graduate, and that's a sort of typical number of degrees for regional universities like ours. We were founded in 1907 as the normal school, which is, as you may know, a French term for teacher preparation school. We were a new state back then, and we needed teachers in our schools, and my university was founded to prepare the teachers. But since then, we became a full-fledged university, and you can see that we've got a low student to teacher ratio, meaning your class sizes will not be big rooms, amphitheaters with 35, with 200 students and one professor. It's going to be more like a big class at our university is 35 to 40 kids, okay? And that means you're going to get to interact with professors, which is important. We are known as the most beautiful campus in the state of Arkansas. I know in Europe, universities are often in big cities and they have buildings all over the city. So you take the bus or the metro to get to one class to the next. In America, we tend to have campuses which are great big plots of land. And you can see that ours is a very beautiful campus. Our oldest building has been visited by 2 former presidents, Gerald Ford and Bill Clinton. In American English, a college is what you may have in Europe as a faculty, all right? So arts, humanities, and sciences, business, of course, health and behavioral sciences, education, science and engineering, and an honors college. So I'll just go through quickly the number of programs that we have. But in arts, we've got all the plastic arts, sculpture, ceramics, graphic design, painting, photography. We have the only film program in the state of Arkansas, and it's not really for documentary filmmaking, it's for narrative filmmaking, like you have in Bollywood in India or Hollywood in California. So if you want to be learning some really good skills for making films, we are a good choice. We have a very strong music program, including a university community orchestra. And I can tell you there's a lot of opportunities for scholarships for students who can play the violin or the cello or other instruments in the orchestra, or if you can sing well. You have to compete for those scholarships, but a lot of international students are on scholarship in our music program. In our School of Communication, we've got writing and public speaking and journalism. We also have your typical liberal arts or humanities. International studies is popular with international students. You can study English as a second language at UCA, linguistics, and then our main language programs are Chinese, French, and Spanish. As I said before, we were originally founded as a normal school, so the College of Education is a thriving program. I will say international students do not offer major in this college because if they want to be a teacher, they oftentimes stay home and do the education program there. In our recently renamed College of Science and Engineering, you'll see in the first 2, biology and chemistry, a difference between the United States and many other countries. As an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old, you cannot study medicine like you're going to be a doctor. In America, you have to do a 4-year degree called a bachelor's degree. And then after you do that, you can do a master's and a Ph.D. to become a doctor or a dentist or an optometrist. So all these pre-programs are called pre-professional programs. And what you should know about a university like mine is our pre-med program to get kids to be doctors has the highest acceptance rate in the state for kids who apply to med school. So it's a good prep for that. Our engineering programs include computer science engineering. We have a cybersecurity program, data science. We will have an electrical engineering program. And that will begin officially, I do believe, in fall 2027. But if you started at UCA in fall 2026, you could get into that program no problem because the prerequisites would take your year to complete anyway. Environmental science, geography, and mathematics, and a program that's cut off at the bottom is robotics, which is physical science engineering. Our College of Business is accredited by the American Association of Colleges of Business. It is the premier accreditation agency for business programs in the world. Only 5% of the universities in the world have accreditation for their business school with AACSB. We have the typical number of undergraduate offerings, including computer information systems and analytics, logistics, supply chain management, and cybersecurity management. We have a College of Behavioral Health and Sciences. You can see we've got psychology and counseling and Ph.D. programs in occupational therapy and physical therapy, undergraduate programs in nursing and masters and PhDs in nursing as well. Exercise science is often popular with international students as well. These are the programs that our international students tend to study more than others. You can see a lot of them are in the College of Business, but also in engineering, computer science, because you can get a CPT, curricular practical training opportunity where you can actually make money off campus. Normally you cannot work off campus, but with a CPT, it's possible, and that's very common in computer science. So when we talk about scholarships, okay, I mentioned that you want to understand the concept of discounting. So for fall 2026, which is just about 6, 7, 8 months away, we estimate that our total cost of attendance is $25,000. All right. Now, one thing you'll notice is that when we say in-state tuition, we're not including out-of-state tuition. And that's because we have an opportunity to give every student who lives in a college, university residence hall or apartment, we give them an automatic out-of-state tuition scholarship. No competition, so you don't have to write an essay, you don't have to have a GPA, you just get that cost of it, you get that scholarship. I'll mention more about that in a second. But some universities who charge out-of-state tuition will discount part of that, and they'll say you've got to have a GPA, and we'll discount 80% of the out-of-state tuition. Well, you're still paying more than an American from that state. Whereas at UCA, if you come to my university and you live on campus, you'll pay the same amount as my daughter did, or some other resident of Arkansas. Also, when I mentioned that we have a merit scholarship, I didn't mention the amount, but it's $8,000 a year. So if you apply for our merit scholarship and get the scholarship, it's $4,000 a semester, so $32,000 for 4 years. And if I subtract 8,000 from 25, then your cost of attendance is 17,000. I'm sorry, 17,000. So when I say compare the cost of attendance after you get the scholarship, at our university for undergraduate study, you're looking at 17,000 if you have the merit scholarship. That's the number you want to compare, because that's what mom and dad have to pay. All right. And when you look at the cost of attendance for a university, it should include all the fees, books, room and board, that sort of thing. All right. That's the legit cost of attendance. So here's that out-of-state tuition scholarship I mentioned. All right. Again, it's automatic. It's not competitive. You just have to live in university housing. The merit scholarship, that's the one we just discussed with the essay requirement. That's one that brings that total cost of attendance down. And then if you are a student who is in their second year or ending their first year, you can apply for a Global Citizen Scholarship at UCA. It's for 1 year. It pays for 12 credit hours. And if you're taking 15, that's the full load. So I call it an 80% scholarship, and that would reduce your in-state tuition by 80%. You'll only be paying for 3 credits. So those are the scholarships we have for international students. And then these are some of the deadlines and the admission requirements, fairly typical for most universities. We have for the fall, it's July 1st. We need an official high school transcript or a copy of a GED. If you're coming from a university, you want to be a grad student, you have to have official university transcripts. There's a $50 application fee. At the end of our presentation, there'll be a QR code. If you use your phone to go to the website, to go to the little form that we have, and you leave your name and email and want to apply, we will waive the application fee for you. Okay. So if you already have a university degree and you want to do a graduate degree, this is the cost of attendance. It's less than the undergraduate degree because you're only doing 3 courses per term. So it's less than $20,000. And you can get an MBA or any number of other good degrees for that price. Graduate admissions, you can see you've got to have a fairly good GPA of 2.7 or 3.0 in the last 2 years of study. If you've done graduate work, you need to have at least a B average, because if you don't get A's and B's in grad school, they don't count towards graduation. C's are no good. Whereas at undergrads, D's and F's are the grades you don't want to get. The English proficiency for graduate school is 79 IBT or 6.5 IELTS. Undergraduate, the score you need for IBT TOEFL is 61, and the IELTS score is 6.0. Again, you pay the application fee. We have different scholarships for grad students. There's the Merit Scholarship is not for graduate students, but you do get the out-of-state tuition scholarship if you live on campus. And after your first year, you can apply for the Global Citizen Scholarship. There are also graduate assistants that assistantships you can get. For instance, we have a graduate assistant working with Jingjing in my office, and many offices on campus have graduate students. Now, you would ask questions to a given graduate program about what they have for graduate assistantships. Here are some of the graduate programs. In humanities, there's creative writing, English, film, and music. In the College of Education, there's a lot of different programs. I won't go over them all. Many of them are online, so you can take them from Ukraine. You wouldn't have to come. More in the College of Education. In the College of Science and Engineering, there's biology and applied math, computer science, GIS, which is a very powerful geographical mapping software. And you could do that one from home because it's all online. In the College of Business, you've got accounting, data analytics, the MBA, and if you combine the MBA with the data analytics certificate, it's considered a STEM degree. I think more on that in a sec. In health and behavioral sciences, again, many of the same programs as undergraduate, but occupational therapy and physical therapy are only at the graduate degree, Ph.D. level, doctoral degree. Our STEM degree programs are interesting because they allow you to do 3 years on an OPT in the United States. So most of the sciences qualify. The unique one is the MBA with the data analytics track, because that MBA, when you add the data analytics track, it allows you to get the data analytics graduate certificate with your MBA master's, and that gives you 3 years of practicing your profession in the United States. Our mascot is this ferocious bear, and there's a joke in the name of the bear. Bruce the bear is, if you are sloppy with your English pronunciation, you don't say Bruce the bear, you say Bruce the bear. That's how Americans like to say it. Like every other university in the United States, the students like to get involved in clubs and athletics. They do crazy dances and play tennis and volleyball. A lot of student organizations. We are Division I athletics, and our football team is just below the top ranking conference, a level of competition, but everything else in the athletics is the top level of competition. So if you come to the United States and you're a really good soccer player, or you're really good in basketball or baseball or another sport, golf in men's sports, or volleyball in women's sports, you can get a scholarship. I can't tell you about those because we're not allowed to talk about scholarships for athletes, but the athletic department can. You'll find a great hypercenter, gymnasium, you might call it, gymnasio in Latin. It's a place where you can swim and work out. Your student fees pay for that access. We have a large campus, as I've said. There's a nature preserve, a nice little trail to walk. A library that's open almost 24/7 till late in the evening, especially when there's the final exams. And you'll find that the library has got thousands and thousands of books. Arkansas is known as the natural state because it's got a lot of streams and forest. And if you're on campus, you can rent for free bicycles, camping gear, kayaks, and take advantage of the natural state. Let's see if, I don't know if this will play. Maybe it won't. If you want to go to YouTube and click on Go Here, Go Anywhere, you have an overview flight of our campus, but I won't make you do that. I want to leave this screen up. If you want more information about the University of Central Arkansas, and you fill out and you use your phone to scan that QR code, you've got a very brief survey. If you fill that out, Jing Jing will follow up and contact you and send you a link to apply if you're interested in applying. And again, we'll waive the application fee for those who scan that QR code. At this point, I think we've finally got some questions. Let's see, I'll start with the ones I can see, and then if I don't see them all.
Yeah, sure, Mr. Bailey. If you don't mind, I will quickly just promptly go through the questions we have in the chat. And we're so grateful for your presentation covering the topics of scholarships, obviously the essays, and delivering a presentation about your university. I hope the generations of students who will watch this live and recording gonna really consider Arkansas University, since you have a very vast majority of majors and really a lot of opportunities. So thank you for that. And we have a couple of questions in the chat. The first question that came today was from Dima Kovalets. The first question was, could you share some useful pieces of advice about writing essay for a flex program? Thank you for the question. I just want to highlight that we're talking about higher education. We're not talking about exchange programs today, but the topic of the flex program is mostly leadership. So I might reconstruct the question a little bit and talking about portraying leadership in essays. Mr. Bailey, what do you think is a good portrayal of leadership?
Well, I think leadership, the best example I can think for a young person is when you're working with other young people and being seen to be the chair of the committee or the person who is effective in getting others to do a common thing. It's really, really hard for college kids in the 200 organizations that we have to participate equally. And oftentimes, if just, the club will be run by one or two people. And that is always an impressive example of leadership, okay? If you can get other people to work with you, that's good. If you can build a consensus, leaders, the best leaders are not like, say, Mr. Putin, who lives in a dictatorship and uses violence and intimidation to get people to behave in a way that he wants. The best leadership is not like my president either. The best leadership is someone who negotiates with others, who builds compromise and consensus, okay, and who doesn't use extortion and other means to get their way. So Churchill was a great example of a leader in World War II. He used words to convince others to do things. I see someone said, I did not expect silence to teach me more than success ever had. Okay, is that a good opening line? It really is, especially if it's original. Now, I can't say I've ever heard that before. If it's a Russian proverb, it may not be the best start, but if it's actually an idea that you came up with, that's really intriguing. It makes me want to know what you mean. And I can't wait to see what it was that silence taught you. So that has a little bit of mystery to it. That's a good catch line. So I would say that is a good example of an opening sentence.
Thank you, and I hope Dima's question was answered. Thank you for asking us in the chat. And the next question, you've already touched upon this person. I want to continue. How to not brag too much in my essay, like how to not talk about my achievements without being rude about it. I don't want to sound arrogant.
Yeah, well, you don't want to list all your achievements, okay? Although in my essay, Merit Scholarship, we do ask for a resume that shows how you got engaged with others. It's not all about all your achievements. So if you've only got 1 or 2 pages to write, it would be a mistake if you tried to say everything that you accomplished. That would look like you're bragging and it would not be effective. What you want to do is choose the achievements that respond best to the prompt and that fit best with your goal for the essay and for your major. So, you know, if you've done some things that are really, really impressive, some people may think it's a little bit too much arrogance, but other people will, if it's the truth, some people's arrogance is other people's performance. So I wouldn't, as you write your essay, you can write all your achievements down, but then you got to choose the best ones and pare it down to the length that fits the essay. All right, I'll let you go to the next question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Bailey, for answering that. I can rotate my chat upwards. Jinjin Lee, could you please do me the honors and read the latest question in the chat, because I can see it now. I can scroll it for just a second. If you can see it, could you please do me the honors and read it, if you can see it in the chat?
I can.
Yes.
Here, I'll.
Yes.
Do you see it? If I want, do you see that one, Jinjin?
Yes.
Go ahead, read that.
Yes. If I want to pursue 2 majors or a major and a minor, do I need to mention this in my essay or anywhere in my application?
And the answer to that is yes. It's at most universities in America now, it's easy to do 2 majors, and you can do, 2 majors and 2 minors, or you can do 1 major and 3 minors. But you'll want, if you're going to mention that you're going to do a major and 2 minors, there needs to be a reason explained why you're doing those minors. Like, I'm doing biology and I want to do something else. Why? Okay. Or I want to do a business degree with a minor in international studies. Why? But yes, the best students, the really gifted ones, often do double majors. And that's just a good thing to do. Especially if you do like business and theater, or I read a study once about double majoring, and it showed that there's a prestige major like, robotics or engineering or cybersecurity or business, and then there's not prestigious majors like art or French or any other number of things. And in that particular study, it showed that Chinese American students would often do double majors. And they did one for mom and dad, who wanted them to study business or law, and one for themselves. So if you've got parents who want you to do finance and you don't want to do finance, maybe you got to do finance, otherwise they won't pay for your education. But you can do a second major, and you could do art history if you wanted to. All right. How to politely ask university about the scholarship if it's not enough for me. I am an A student. All right, that's a great question. So there are some universities that will give a scholarship that allows you to come and not pay anything. Well, not pay much of anything. All right. You can get a job working on campus and work for 20 hours a week. So, if you work 20 hours a week and you make $11 an hour in Arkansas, that's a couple $100. You might almost make $800 a month. So you'll be able to pay some things. But my university does not offer a financial package that's 100%. And that's because we are already cheaper than most universities. We are less expensive because of the out-of-state tuition waiver. So, if you came to my university, and even if you didn't get the merit scholarship, you're paying $25,000. Well, if you go to a lot of other universities, they may give you a $20,000 scholarship, but you still might be paying $25,000. So I will say, if you need 100% funding and you're brilliant, not just an A student, but like uniquely intelligent and can articulate a great essay, writing the essay might get you that scholarship. But most universities in America now are under a little bit of financial stress. So they may give you 100% tuition scholarship, but you still have to pay for housing. And housing can be expensive.
Mhm.
But if your mom and dad are sending you to a private school in Ukraine and they're paying $10,000 to $12,000 a year for the private school, you might be able to find a package that allows you to do that. So you should be able to find a package. All right.
Mr. Bailey, thank you so much for answering the questions from the chat. And Jinjingli, thank you so much for assisting me with the question from the chat. We're so grateful to have you today. Unfortunately, our time for our live session is over. Please feel free to reach out to Education USA Ukraine if you left any questions for Mr. Bailey about his presentation. We will gladly address your question to Dr. Bailey, and if he will have time and the opportunity to answer, you will gladly respond to you in his regard. So thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. Please subscribe to Education USA channel. Please follow us on social media, and also watch the recordings, other recordings we have on our channel. We have weekly Thursday lectures going every week. So thank you so much, everyone. Dr. Phillip Bailey with us today, Associate Vice President for Global Learning and Engagement in the University of St. Clair, Arkansas. I wish great evening for Ukraine and a great day for the USA. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.